Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands, and welcome to an SP Reviews, where today we have ourselves a track from an act named Brett Van Drasek titled The Bridge. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves a track on YouTube. Now we're going to be listening through this track from start to finish, and we're going to hear what we think. And let's go! Competent guitar playing. A little bit of tapping going on there. Close mic'd.
I'm sitting here right now, breathing, feeling, stealing all the light. Well, it's still shining on. Got 2 full beers and 2 full eyes. Got a bucket full of love and a bucket full lies. Get up and ride, gonna get up and gone, 'cause I wanna fly high, I wanna ride on.
Nice adjustment of varying intensities here. The vocals niche themselves nicely into the overall aesthetic.
Spend my life searching for the bridge between living life, love, and on the edge. I spend my life searching for the bridge between living life, love, and on the edge.
It's nice to have those accented bass notes as well occasionally, just to sort of switch out the perceived groove.
I'm sitting here right now, breathing, feeling, stealing all the light. Well, it's still shining on. I got 2 full beers and 2 full eyes. Got a bucket full of and a bucket full of lies. Get up and ride, gonna get up and gone, 'cause I wanna fly high, I wanna ride on.
And there's just a lot of information kind of being thrown at you at once. I think you really sort of need to sort of sit and simmer with it in order to sort of understand the message being told. Might take multiple listens.
Spend my life searching for the bridge between living life, love, and on the edge. I spend my life searching for the bridge between living life, love, and on the edge. Spend my life searching for the bridge.
I was expecting there to be an alternate lead or a sort of a shake-up of how this part went. Considering the technicality of the way we're performing our skill on the instrument, it might have been nice to have approached it a little bit differently, but that's all okay.
Between living life, love, and on the edge.
Just so that it remains fresh sounding.
Spend my life searching for the bridge between living life, love, and on the edge.
I mean, I appreciate the color and the instrumental backing. I'm not quite sure I got the story through correctly. I mean, I have a rough summation of what it's about after listening through it, but I still don't feel necessarily sure, but we'll talk about that more in the conclusion. And welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from an act named Brett Van Drasek titled The Bridge. Now, what do I think this track is about after listening to it? I think if I was to sort of mesh the arrangement, the jazzy kind of soul-infused acoustic vibes, did I say, the riffs and chops, the different strums, with the way the vocals were done, with a very kind of, how do I describe it? It's almost kind of a wistful approach from Brett on the mic. It's an interesting track. I would suppose it would be about sort of, he's talking about his life and building a bridge, as you know, you would have heard from the track, but also in the sense that maybe living love and life on the edge. So maybe we're trying to sort of find a way to go between two extremes in their own eyes, in a way that allows us to it to be sort of clean and meaningful and not sort of dangerous or destructive or anything like that. I think that's the intention there. I think the continuity of the complexity of the harmonies within the arrangement makes sense, because we're constantly trying to sort of figure out a bigger sort of philosophy there. We're trying to sort of gauge out how we would build that bridge, etc. There's more to it. I just didn't get it on the first listen, but that's my main takeaway from it. The vocals were done well. You know, I think that he has a great voice. Kind of reminds me a little bit sort of Jack Johnson-ish. Was comfortable in his vocal range, good vocal technique within the head and chest voice. But I don't think we really pushed too high into the upper range, but I don't think we needed to. We were comfortable within that sort of main octave we were exploring, stuck within sort of traditional sort of natural major minors, as well as maybe the occasional chromatic to sort of mix in with some of the more colorful chromaticisms or accidentals within the chord backings and or the arpeggios. And overall, I just think sounds like someone sort of looking up at the night sky trying to find some answers to the challenges that they're facing, that they're discussing within this track. So I think in regards to how it was performed and the actual the proficiency of it with the emotionality to it, you know, it all sort of makes sense. I think that if we also were to consider for a moment the actual track itself at 3 minutes 17, I think as a song which goes through various sort of verses and choruses with like a little sort of like interlude thing, which was similar to a motif we had earlier, going back into another chorus at the end for the outro, I'm happy with that. I think if we're going for simply the singer and then the guitar aesthetic there, that acoustic sort of musician on the stage alone sort of speaking, they're singing their truth, it makes sense. The performance on the guitars was definitely intriguing. You know, we had not just sort of major minor chords, we had interesting extensions on those sevenths, majors, and ninths. There's some dominant seventh chords. We modulated those harmonies between shapes there and explored parallel majors and minors. And we had some interesting sort of tap and slap techniques there where we not only, you know, strummed and we finger styled and etc. occasion, we also tapped with our right hand and we sort of thumped with our hand on it and used the guitar as more of a percussive instrument and not only as a melodic or harmonic one. And I think that that's a smart idea, getting the most out of that form factor there. It allows for a more interesting end result. You're getting all your instruments in one. I think that's really clever, especially with the lower bass notes kind of being thumped out occasionally there for a bit of accenting. It wasn't the same intensity dynamically the whole time. We had moments where there were little breaks where things got a bit quieter, and then there were some ghost notes or sort of pianissimo moments there where things coming back up in the choruses to sort of come intertwine with the vocals. When I talked earlier about wanting to have had the chorus at the end approached a bit differently, it's simply that I felt as if even though the chorus line was compelling, you could have potentially maybe... I know it's difficult because we had a lot of sort of notes going on very early on into the piece. I'm not sure how much further we could have pushed that to make it even more sort of intense. And I'm wondering, you know, could we have gone like half time, or could we have maybe had an anti-hook where like it kind of went the opposite of intense? We just kind of like sort of more explored the idea from a more sort of chilled out perspective than we were having, but it was already quite chilled out due to the coloration of the overall harmonies and stuff like that alone. It's not like we were listening to sort of like death metal or something like that. It's something where I think the riff worked initially because it was so full on and it was just so much to absorb. I think because we had that at the start, it might have been nice to have had something differently, either more or less, but it would have more likely have been less because we decided to sort of amp it up earlier. We had dynamic range again, there was varying levels of intensity, but you know, beyond that, I think we're a very sort of competent guitarist and we can sing really well. And the music itself explored a lot of different concepts while still retaining a sense of movement and seamless transition. So ultimately, I do think it was really well written, and I think it's more than reasonably accessible to a wider audience there. I'm sure a lot of people will like it. The theme itself, again, as I mentioned, I think what I thought the track was about mirrored a sense of sort of ideological complexity there. It didn't seem black and white. There were lots of different shades and colors in it, not only in different note and chord choices, as well as varying sort of rhythms, mostly sort of bordering on the 16ths. But we had this situation where we seemed to be sort of sticking by a sense of sort of like sophistication with the way we were composing. You know, this didn't seem like Baby's first tune. Seemed like we got a bit of polish with our songwriting here, and that came through in the theme. It was intriguing because of how kind of explorative it was, even if I would have wanted less or more later on. I think in regards to the studio recording, mixing and mastering, the production is solid. It sounds like a live recording there, which I think makes sense. It makes it sort of sound more like you're in the room with a person. Brett's vocals came through clearly. The guitar came through clearly. The miking of it worked. It wasn't too overly compressed. It had a sense of dynamic range to it. Things were nicely niched in the frequency spectrum and stereo field there, and it was still nice and loud without pumping. It was good. I liked the fact that it was done live because it makes it sort of seem like we actually have a career as a musician, in a sense like a live career, like we do performances. And I think that when you are an acoustic singer-songwriter, it's important to, I mean, like that, if you can nail that, I think that's one of the most doable ways of having a career and performing, and that makes touring a lot easier, doesn't it? If you don't need a big band beside you to play songs and have an opportunity at that, I'm not sure, but I mean, I think with the way they're performing, I reckon they'd probably get a crowd if they were to continue to stick at it and write more stuff like this. So I wish them the best of luck. But this is my review of this track from Brett Van Drasek, titled The Bridge, and hopefully you enjoyed it. And if you did, please do go show us some love via their various social medias and a YouTube page, and stay cool and stay safe. And please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as either how more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I'll catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.